cheap. But anyway, somebody sent me a note to go see this lady build drums. And so I'm more of a drum player than a flute player. I tried playing the flute and I don't have enough hot air. So, but anyway, in every culture, on every continent, the drum is or has been used for a sacred ceremony. And I need to put my glasses on because the legs get smaller. When an unborn child is developing in the womb, the first thing they hear is the heartbeat of their mother. So when the babies hear the music, it is just natural for them to connect to it. The drum beat symbolizes the heartbeat of Earth Mother. It is telling the rhythm that we hear when singing, dancing, or walking through the world. The round form of the drum represents a circle of life and the whole universe. Traditional First Nation people of Turtle Island, we recognize the drum as a living and breathing entity. Through its sacred vibrations, we make connection with the higher power. It is an important instrument for us and Earth people. Giving both rhythm and meaning to life, the drum is respectfully used in ceremony for prayer, healing, and thanksgiving. It also creates a sense of social and spiritual harmony for dancers and singers for social gatherings. We believe that the spirits of the tree and animal that the drum is made from live within the drum. For this reason, too great respect is shown to our drums through the care given to them. The people of Turtle Island continue to express their deep spiritual awareness through the drum to our interconnection to the greater web that we are all related. As most know, the drum is usually fashioned by a stretched skin or rawhide over a circular frame. To hold the skin to the drum, several strips are brought to the center on one side of the drum where they are joined together and sometimes directly to each other. Sometimes to a small ring in the middle of the drum. The back of the drum, where the ties are, just as important to the front, that proceeds the sound. So, as you can see, there are different sized drums. What you heard on the tape is a big, huge, what they call powwow drums, I think they call them. They're great big drums, and they usually have about 8 people around playing the drum and singing the song. You're not going to hear that either way today. But to help describe the drum, there is a small, you get together and there's a ceremony that you go through building the drum. You start out with the story of the wood from the tree, the skin from either the deer or the elk, and the process of a living being that you're putting together to create a sound, a beautiful sound. And so then, once you get there, you get the ring, and you prepare it to receive the skin, because it has sharp edges, so you sand it, stain it, get it ready, and then you will listen to another story about the drum. And it takes about 8 hours, but really, if it wasn't for the stories, it takes about 2 hours. But very challenging sometimes, because you have to cut. You take and cut the string out of the hide that you're going to use for the skin, so you keep it together. And it gets, you got to go from one side to the other and back. And as you do that, you're pulling the skin tight. And then once you get it all strung, then you go back through and pull it tight again. And then you take and make a handle in the back, which helps pull it tighter and develops another sound. The sound comes in different areas of the drum. It is different in different areas. On the edge, in the center, there's always a different tune. And ceremony, before you play the drum in the ceremony, you go through a birthing ceremony, which you birth the drum to yourself, and in that ceremony, you play during one of the songs. There's a pedal that you put in the center of the drum, and you play the song with the ceremony leader, and at the end of the song, that pedal is going to land in a certain position on the drum. And in my case, it landed in the east. In each direction, we have the direction of things. We have the north, east, south, and north. And my pedal landed in the east door, which means it's a new beginning. The sun rises in the east. And it was very fitting for that because that's when I started becoming a chief. Because it was a new beginning, not just for me, but for the tribe. New leader, different leadership, a different idea of how to get things done. And so my drum landed in the east, the pedal. The tribal drum that an elder was birthing at the same time, the pedal landed in the west, which is the dark side, which means there was, for lack of a better word, trouble. And that was fitting too, because at the time I took over, we had no direction and we were in trouble. And so we switched that around with new leadership. And it's just amazing. We get certain people like this lady sitting up here in the front, Darcy Worrell and Darcy. You get people like that on your side and have the same vision of where we need to go. Things start to move. So the drum is a very telling instrument. It tells a lot of stories within the story.
Quick. Welcome.
Right.
My name is Twende, one who has found his voice, or circle. I'm the small spotted turtle clan. I'm going to give you a disclaimer too, two of them. One, I'm not singing, no matter how much you ask me. And the other thing is, I hope it's not a disclaimer.
We both have day-turn jobs.
Yes. And I hope I do my ancestors justice. This is part of my education. I am just new to my heritage, about 8 years. So let's see what I can do and tell you about the drums. The drums have been a human experience for as long as humans themselves. They have been used for several purposes, including warnings, messages, rhythms, accompaniments, musical instruments, dancing, chanting, sacred ceremonies, and more recently, used for meditation, to name just a few. But beyond these meanings, the symbolism of the drum has a much deeper significance in the traditional American Indian search for the meaning of life. There are many teachings of the drum not included here and not known by me. I'm still learning myself. I only can study the drum for a lifetime and never be aware of how many stories the drum can teach me, or wait for me to learn from it revealing itself to me. It's an educational process. The first thing observed in close association of mankind with the drum. The drum usually is held in one hand, and it becomes physically part of yourself. The attachment with the drum is comforting, one that unites the powers of the drum with its holder. One hand is in the touch with the powers of the universe and all creation, and making connection with the Creator. These days, the drum is formed in many non-traditional shapes, all of which have little spiritual power compared to the roundness of the traditional drum. And if you remember, in any kind of native teachings, the circle is important. It's the circle of life. What you do here comes to you here. What you do here comes to you here. So in keeping that in mind, that's why the drum and the roundness of it is so important to our culture. The drum is sacred not only to the sound, but its deep wisdom slightly conveying for all those who become aware. When played, the backside of the drum is hidden from view, grasped by the hand of the drummer. Where's my drum? Lost my place. Well, okay. The drum is silent voice waiting to be released into the presence of not only the ears of the human, but also the rocks, the grasses, the trees, the animals, the birds, and all life. All the life becomes aware of its sacred powers when heard. All the things become silent and listen carefully to the presence of its sacred voice at times, imitating thunder being in the sky. Everything in life tries to be a circle. A circle has neither a beginning nor an end, thus infinity in creation. All points of the perimeter and the rim of the drum pointed to the center. Everything is always tied to the center. Life is a sacred circle. All the life, it's everything around it, is formed by the Creator, who resides in the center of all creation, the center of the circle. The center is represented by the drum. One of the rims are rocks, flowers, trees, birds, animals, and humans, and all things. All the living things revolve around the center, which means all living things and their lives revolve around the Creator and cannot escape the Creator's powerful influence because they are all bound to the center as long as they are bound by the sacred gift of life. At one point, the rim drum represents mankind, yes, human beings, who are in reality are no greater or lesser than things around them. Mankind is not close to the Creator or the center of the circle, or neither is it mankind further away from other things on the circle. Mankind places in the sacred circle is therefore joined in unity and harmony. But again, a circle can only have one center. At least mark mankind for the Creator is almighty and reserves the center for itself. When mankind's ego humbled, then and only then can mankind rightfully place in the universe, known to the understanding and relationship to the Creator. To produce the sound of the drum is sacred experience. The drum is not to be overpowered with mankind's force and dominance, but rather contacted gently with purpose and a waking of its sacred voice. The sparks to allow the ears, hearts, and all that are open to listen. Once produced, the sounds of the drum are a calling to the ailing hearts and hear its voice in one unity. Once the beat drums, but merely allow to drum's voice to be referenced in which all hearts are joined in harmony and balance. And basically to take away from that, again, everything in our world and your world is circular. It's very important to us as natives to always keep that in mind, because what we do to Mother Earth now, Mother Earth will bring back to us later. If it's negative, it will bring back negative. If it's positive, it will be positive. So we all try to do everything and give thanks to everything that we do to Mother Earth or its beings, whether it's the tree beings, the four-legged animals, any being on this earth we give thanks to its life so that we could carry on with the food that it gives us, with the skins that it gives us to cover our drums, so that we can have the sounds, so we can have our relationship to Mother Earth. That's it.
Anybody have any questions? We're going to be brave up here.